In this video, I'm going to get the Platinum Trophy for the new
DemonSlayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Hinokami Chronicles 2.
With the new release of the second game, I decided to go for the Platinum for this game and also give me a break from the Devil May Cry series. I would also do the first DemonSlayer game, however, I already have the Platinum for this game, so I can't really make a video on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and just do the second game. This game released not long ago on August 5th and published by CyberConnect 2, who is well known for the Naruto Storm series. There's no guide for this game yet on PSN profiles, but if I had to rate it myself, I'd give it a 5 or a 6 out of 10. It ain't really that difficult at all, it's just a bit of a grind towards the end. With a total of 38 trophies, the game plan goes as follows. Clear all story while doing the subquests, all collectibles, and get all S ranks. Next we'll be getting S ranks on all the Path of the DemonSlayer, then all the purchase related trophies and training paths, 35 character masteries, and lastly 100 survival matches. With the game plan laid out, let's begin this long and grindy journey to get this platinum. Since this is the second game of the series, it begins in the beginning of Season 2 and goes all the way to the end of the most recent season, Season 4. The game starts off by going through a tutorial and putting us in a fight against Daki to learn the basic controls. However, this fight does not end and it just goes for a while until the game cuts to the opening of Season 2 where Tanjiro and Nezuko travel to a temple to fight a demon hiding inside. This battle acts as the second part of the tutorial, and in this it shows us how to use some combos as well as the improved ultimates and animations that this game has over the first one. With the end of this fight, it marks the end of the prologue and thus giving me my first trophy. This next chapter is the start of Season 2 with the infiltration of the entertainment district. The chapter starts with Tanjiro arriving back at the mansion where he finds two of the girls from Shinobu's mansion are being taken by one of the Hashira, Tengen Uzui. Tanjiro tries to convince Tengen that he should not take the girls, but is unsuccessful until Tanjiro asks Tengen to take himself and his two friends instead of the girls.
What if we were to go instead?
Tengen accepts Tanjiro's proposal and brings the trio with him onto the mission. When arriving at the end, Tengen explains that there is a demon hiding in the entertainment district and that the demon is hiding in one of the 3 possible houses that are in there. He already sent some spies into the 3 houses a while ago, however he had to go and get help after the spies he sent, which was his 3 wives, have gone missing. After a bit more explaining, I get put into yet again more free roaming. After collecting some memory fragments and completing some side quests, I go talk to Tengen to continue the story. Tengen makes the trio look more like girls so he can sell them into the houses that might have the demon inside. After taking some time to search around the 3 houses, it seems that there is no demon anywhere until I reach Zenitsu. When I'm playing as Zenitsu, since there has been nothing going on, the game needs to find something to do besides just free roaming, and that's where they add the first mini game of this, which I come back later on to get a trophy for. But when the minigame is over, Zenitsu overhears a little girl crying and goes to check up on her. After talking to the little girl, Zenitsu is met with the demon that Tengen warned him about, hiding as a human. After protecting the girl from the harsh treatment she is getting, Zenitsu is knocked out by the demon and is taken, marking the end of the chapter with a trophy. A day has passed and Tanjiro and Inosuke find that Zenitsu has been taken, which is confirmed by Tengen himself. Tengen calls off the mission and tells Tanjiro and Inosuke to go back and he will handle the demon himself. However, the duo has other plans and decide to meet up that following night to search for Zenitsu themselves. That night, Tanjiro sets out to the meeting spot where he and Inosuke picked, but along the way he picks up the scent of the demon. After following the scent, Tanjiro finds the demon trying to capture one of the people from the houses he was staying at, and he finds out that the demon he has been looking for is a part of the upper ranks, which is upper rank 6. The fight begins with a bit of talking, and despite how much little damage Tanjiro has taken, it seems Tanjiro is too weak to fight this demon when he's using water breathing techniques, leading him to chip his blade. So instead, Tanjiro switch up his style to use Hinokami instead. We switch over to Inosuke and find out that there is possibly a second demon in the house he is at. So after chasing around the house for a little bit, Inosuke finds a hole underground, which ends up taking him to where all the humans that demon has captured is being held, including Zenitsu and Tengen's wives. The demon that Inosuke has been following looks like to be a part of the Upper Six Sash, and with the help of Tengen's wives and Zenitsu, they are able to fight off the demon until Tengen arrives himself and then just completely one-shots the demon, leading him to leave to go back to Daki. While part of the Sash escapes and go back to Daki, it merges with her, putting her back to full power and also giving her a new makeover. With Daki's power back up, she shows off her power by destroying the surrounding area, injuring many people. She thinks that Tanjiro is not worth fighting and decides to leave him until Tanjiro, filled with rage, blitzes over to her and cuts off her leg. Again, with Tanjiro filled with rage, the next battle begins with Tanjiro having to fight Daki yet again, which is the same fight that was at the beginning of the game. However, this one, I am able to actually damage her. With it seeming like Tanjiro is almost about to defeat Daki, the spirit of Tanjiro's brother tells him to stop because he is going to die himself while doing this, because during that whole fight, Tanjiro was not breathing. The chapter ends with Daki about to kill Tanjiro until his sister Nezuko steps in to save him, getting me a trophy for clearing the chapter. The next chapter is the end of the entertainment district, and it begins with Nezuko powering up and fighting Daki, showing that she is much stronger than this upper rank 6 and destroying Daki completely. Because of Nezuko's strength boost, she is unable to stop her demon instincts and lunges towards a human that is bleeding. However, Tanjiro has to step in to stop her. With this opening, Daki attempts to try to kill Tanjiro and Nezuko until Tengen shows up, and Tengen absolutely just destroys her and even decapitates Daki. She's not defeated though, and then another demon is shown to be coming out of her back, and Tengen is unable to cut off the demon's head in time, and we find out that this new demon is also upper rank 6 and is Daki's brother Gyutaro, who is beyond stronger than Daki. With this new threat, Tengen fights both the siblings while Tanjiro is trying to get Nezuko to calm down, and once she calms down, Tanjiro and then his two friends Inosuke and Zenitsu go to back up Tengen with the fight against the upper 6. Once they arrive, they split up yet again to Tanjiro and Tengen against Gyutaro, and Zenitsu and Inosuke against Daki. Tanjiro, not being able to help that much against the fight against Gyutaro, is told by Tengen to go fight Daki with the other two. After defeating Daki, the trio is able to cut off Daki's head, and with a new goal to keep her head away from the body so she can't heal again, Inosuke says he will take the head and run around till Gyutaro is defeated. This didn't quite work, however, with Gyutaro coming up behind him and stabbing Inosuke. With Daki healed, she releases a powerful attack to destroy the whole surrounding area again, but this time way worse than the first. When Tanjiro wakes back up, he finds Gyutaro in his face and they chat for a little bit. Tanjiro tries to run away but fails, and when all hope seems to be lost, Tanjiro pulls off one last move, which is his signature headbutt. This knocks Gyutaro off balance, it seems. However, it was actually the knife Tanjiro stabbed Gyutaro with, covered in poison, that Tengen's wives used earlier. With the poison in Gyutaro's system, it stalls him long enough for Tanjiro to try to cut off his head, and almost succeeding, until Gyutaro overpowers him and was about to stab Tanjiro until Tengen shows up yet again to save Tanjiro. After another fight and some more crazy animation just like the anime episode, Tanjiro is able to cut off Gyutaro's head in time, just like Zenitsu and Inosuke are able to cut Daki's head off in time, and with this it ends the battle against the upper 6. The next chapter is just an interlude arc, and there isn't that much in this besides just some more side quests and collectibles. The next few chapters are all of Season 3, and it starts with Tanjiro getting permission to go to the Swordsmith Village to look for his sword maker, Mr. Hazuneska. And because of the Swordsmith Village being a major part of the Demon Slayers, it is well hidden, and Tanjiro is led there by a couple of the Slayer assistants. When Tanjiro arrives there, he is told to go visit the village headmaster, and this puts us in another free roaming area and collecting some more collectibles and doing some more side quests, as well as Tanjiro seems to be having a stalker along the way. After talking to the village chief, he tells Tanjiro that the hot springs here in the village help Slayers heal fast, so he tells Tanjiro where to find the hot springs, and Tanjiro makes his way over to the hot springs, running into one of the other Hashiras, the love Hashira Mitsuri. After chatting for a bit, she says that there is another person up in the hot springs, and Tanjiro says that there is food down in the end waiting for them. When Tanjiro arrives at the hot springs, he finds out that the person Mitsuri was talking about is Genya, who is someone he took the final selection arc with earlier on. Later at dinner, Tanjiro and Nezuko are eating with Mitsuri, and before she leaves, she tells Tanjiro that there is a secret weapon hidden in the forest, which helps Slayers get way stronger than they are now. The following day, Tanjiro goes exploring to find the secret weapon Mitsuri was talking about, and while exploring, he sees two people next to what looks like a robot, and the little kid is yelling at the other person for breaking this robot. And while they're fighting, we find out that this other person is another Hashira, the Miss Hashira Tokito. Tanjiro decides to jump in, and while he is talking to the Hashira, Tokito just completely knocks him out because he doesn't want to just hear this man yap on and on. While Tanjiro wakes back up, he finds that the Hashira is gone and that the little kid is next to him. After talking to the kid for a bit, Tanjiro finds out his name and that this robot is the secret weapon that Mitsuri was talking about, as well as it looks pretty similar to the person Tanjiro has been seeing in his dreams. After Tanjiro convinces the boy to fix up the robot, Tanjiro begins training with the robot and goes on for a couple days non-stop. After training over and over, Tanjiro is finally able to land a good hit on the robot, but in doing so, it ends up breaking the robot, revealing a sword hidden in there for possibly over thousands of years, until Mr. Hazuganeska, who Tanjiro came to village to find, appears and takes the sword with him and says he will restore it to peak condition, ending the chapter with a cliffhanger to see that two demons have arrived at the village. The chapter begins with Tokito waking Tanjiro up and talking to him for a little bit, and because Tanjiro is the main character, he drops a little bit of talk no jutsu on him, changing the way Tokito thinks for a little bit. However, they are interrupted when one of the two demons walks right into Tanjiro's room, and because Tokito being a Hashira, he attacks much faster than Tanjiro, having not been able to unsheath his sword yet. However, the demon moves even faster and dodges the attack until Tokito lands yet another one, cutting his head off, but just like docking Gyutaro, this does not defeat him, and he ends up splitting into two different demons. Tokito tries to attack yet again, however, one of the demons with one swing of his fan blasts Tokito off to another part of the village, leaving Tanjiro and Nezuko to fight the other demons alone until Genya shows up. We cut to see Tokito is fine, and he is rushing back to help Tanjiro and the others, and run past the kid from earlier he was arguing with, trying to survive against another demon. And it looks like Tokito is just gonna let the kid be killed until he remembers the words of Tanjiro and decides to help the kid instead. The kid tells Tokito that there are more demons attacking some of the swordsmiths close by and tells them where they are. This is where the game adds something new compared to the first one, but was in the Storm series, which is the Horde missions. After taking care of the Hordes, we arrived at where the swordsmiths are, and Tokito is forced to fight another upper rank, and this one is upper rank 5. Tokito is able to fight for a bit, but he cannot win because he's trying to protect the other two that are behind him, and he ends up getting trapped in a water prison. With Tokito trapped, the upper 5 goes to the hut that Tokito was trying to protect to see what he was hiding. And after opening it, he ends up finding that Mr. Hazuganeska is in here working on Tanjiro's blade, glazing the hell out of the craftsmanship. The game then cuts over to see that Mitsuri is rushing back to the village, and we have some more horde fights. After Mitsuri gets back to the village, she heads over to the village chief to find out that he is being attacked by this giant fish-looking monster. After this fight, we go back to Tokito, who is slowly drowning in the water prison and is about to die until the kid he saved earlier tries to get him out. Sadly, he does not see the fish demon behind him, and with Tokito unable to tell him, he ends up getting stabbed in the gut. However, before he collapses, he's able to give some air to Tokito, allow him to use a breathing technique to escape the prison, as well as regain some of his lost memories, remembering his past with his family and how he almost died. With his memories intact, he goes to fight Upper 5 with a mysterious mark across his face as well. Tokito is able to defeat the Upper 5 pretty easily, and we find out that the kid is not dead from being stabbed, and that Tanjiro's sword guard that he gave him saved his life. Completely out of energy, Tokito collapsed, ending the chapter. We switch over to Tanjiro's POV from the time Tokito was fighting, and we see that the 4 new demons are called the emotion demons because they all represent different emotions. The first fight I have is with Genya fighting the sadness demon, and we find out that Genya is unable to use any breathing techniques, and that is why he uses this shotgun instead. However, Genya stands no chance, but no matter how many times Genya gets knocked down, he says these random words and just gets back up full of energy. We switch over to Tanjiro to see that he is fighting the 3 other demons by himself because Nezuko is trapped under the fallen building. Trying to get Nezuko out, she instead grabs on the Tanjiro sword, covering it in her blood, and then using her demon ability to light it and completely setting his sword on fire. Because of this hot fire, it changes Tanjiro's sword color from black to a fiery red. With this new Fire Blade and the power of godly animation, Tanjiro is able to use another Hinokami move and is able to cut all three demons' heads off back to back to back. Looking over at Genya, he sees that Genya looks pretty different, but that he also cut off the head of the other demon as well. However, the demons are not fully killed, and Tanjiro, Genya, and a free Nezuko look to see that there is actually a fifth demon as well, and he is really small and starts to run away. Tanjiro is able to catch up to this small demon and is about to cut off his head until Tanjiro gets the feeling that there is a really strong demon behind them that is about to attack him until Nezuko is able to save him in time. Looking back over, Tanjiro sees that there is a new demon and that this one starts calling Tanjiro and his friends awful villains for attacking a small demon, which this insanely triggers Tanjiro very much, and filled with rage, Tanjiro stands back up and fights the demon, but instead of a fight, the chapter ends. This last chapter begins right in the fight with Tanjiro and the new demon, and it seems that Tanjiro is about to be killed and eaten by this wooden dragon until Mitsuri shows up and saves him. Mitsuri fights off the demon for a little bit while Tanjiro and the others go to find the small demon and kill it. Tanjiro pulls out his own new move by using the flash step that Zenitsu uses in his own thunder breathing techniques, and is able to blitz over to the small demon where he is about to cut off his head, but instead this small demon ends up changing sides and attacks Tanjiro by sending him flying into Genya. With the help of Genya and Nezuko, Tanjiro is about to cut off the demon's head until the demon runs back, trying to save himself by falling off a cliff with Tanjiro and Nezuko falling right behind. With the demon still alive, he sees that there are a couple humans off over in the distance and goes after them to try to heal himself so he can kill Tanjiro. Tanjiro gets back up and sees that he is going after the villagers, and with the help of Tokito, he throws Tanjiro the sword Mr. Hazuki Nezuko was working on and tells him to use it to finish off the demon. And again, Tanjiro taking Zenitsu's move and putting it together with his Hinokami technique, he is able to blitz over to the demon and able to cut off its head, finishing the fight. However, this is really bad timing because at the same time the sun is about to rise, and since demons can't survive in sunlight, he runs back over to Nezuko to try to help her from the sunlight. When running back to Nezuko, he sees that Nezuko has a panicked look on her face, and she points over to the demon behind Tanjiro and sees that it is still alive going after the villagers. But just as Tanjiro runs to go finish off the demon yet again, the sun is now showing through and Nezuko starts to burn in the sunlight, with Tanjiro running back, shielding Nezuko from the sun. With Nezuko burning and the demon running after the human, Tanjiro is forced to make a decision to either leave his sister to die in the sunlight or go and save the villagers. Tanjiro starts to panic, however, because he's unable to make the decision to let his sister die or the villagers to die. Nezuko ends up making the decision for him and throws Tanjiro over to the villagers that helped him, choosing to have Tanjiro save them over her. With some very sad copyright music, Nezuko is left in the sun and shows that she will miss Tanjiro and seemingly dies to the sunlight, with Tanjiro starting to cry over his sister's death. Not letting Nezuko's choice be for nothing, Tanjiro gets back up and starts to run over to the headless demon to find that its real body is hiding inside the heart. And with one final battle, Tanjiro is able to cut the fake body in half, revealing the true body in the heart. And with one final swing, filled with all his sadness and rage over Nezuko's death, he is able to cut the demon's head and finishing off the demon once and for all. Now that the fight is over, Tanjiro starts to break down over his sister's death because that was the only reason he became a DemonSlayer in the first place. However, with the help of the villagers, Tanjiro looks behind him and sees that his sister is not dead and that she is able to survive under the sunlight now. And with the fight of the swordsmith village being over and everyone's surviving, the chapter ends. Before starting the final season, we get put into another interlude chapter, which really isn't that much important besides some more collectibles and subquests. This next chapter is a very short one, and all this is, story-wise, is just the opening scene of the 4th season where Sanemi and Obanai chase after some demons and end up getting a glimpse at the Infinity Castle. Before going into the final chapter, I decided to go to one of the previous battles that I did not get an S rank on, and in doing so, I end up using Tengen and getting his mastery to level 5, getting me another trophy. This brings us to the final chapter of the game, the Hashira training arc. This chapter begins with a meeting of all the Hashira, And in this meeting, they talk about what happened in the Swordsmith village and also talk about the importance of the marks that appeared on Tokito and Mitsuri. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Mitsuri also got a mark appearing on her just like Togito did in the fight against the demons. The wife of the head of the Demon Slayer says that this mark is called the Slayer mark, and it gives the person amazing strength, even stronger than where they are now, but it has a major downside that the people who manifest it will not live past the age of 30. Besides the downside the mark gives, they all agree that they should start the Hashira training in hopes of awakening their marks and the marks of the other Slayers as well, so that they can use it to fight Muzan in the upcoming battle. They all agree to start the training, but Gyu chooses not to participate, and this is where Tanjiro comes in. Tanjiro was assigned by the head of the Demon Slayers to convince Gyu to participate in the Slayer training. However, Gyu decides because he thinks he is not fit to become a Hashira, even though he already is. With some backstory being dropped that Gyu took the final selection with Sabito, who helped Tanjiro train in the first game, Gyu was shown to have been knocked out at the start of the final selection and left in another Slayer's care by Sabito. Gyu ends up waking at the end of the final selection, seeing that his friend Sabito was killed and that he survived the final selection. However, Gyu thinks he did not pass it because he was asleep the whole time and didn't kill a single demon. So Gyu thinks of himself as a failure and is not even a part of the Demon Slayers because of this. With some more words of Tanjiro's own Talk no Jutsu and an eating contest, Tanjiro is able to convince Gyu to take part in the Hashira training. After a couple days, Tanjiro being fully recovered from his fight, he is able to participate in the Hashira training as well, starting with stamina training with the former Hashira Tengen. Tanjiro is able to pass Tengen's training really easily because of the skill level he is at, and is told to move on to the next Hashira, Tokito. Since this is Hashira training, there isn't that much battle going on besides a few here and there, with also a bit of free roaming to collect some subquests and collectibles as well. Togito is doing some combat training with some of the Slayers, and after Tanjiro arrives and a couple days of training, we end up fighting Togito and him beating him in the process, with him completing his training and told to move on to the next Hashira the following day. That night, Tanjiro ends up seeing Togito leave the mansion and goes off somewhere in secret. The next day, Tanjiro begins his training with Mitsuri. And because Mitsuri's training is flexibility training, all this is just another minigame. And for this one, all this is a rhythm game. Sadly, I didn't get an S rank on this because the rhythm that the music is playing behind is a bit offbeat from the actual gameplay of the minigame, so I end up not getting an S rank, so I'll have to come back later on to get this. After completing the training, Tanjiro is told to go to the next Hashira, which is Obanai, who is the Snake Hashira. At this training, Tanjiro is forced to fight Obanai while avoiding the other Slayers to work on his precision in battle. This goes on for a couple days, and one night, Tanjiro sees Obanai leave the mansion in the middle of the night, similar to Togito, and Tanjiro decides to follow him. Tanjiro ends up finding that some of the Hashiras like Togito, Obanai, and Sanemi are training at night amongst themselves. Togito insists that Tanjiro should also take part in this because he is very skilled and will be a great learning opportunity. So after the fight with Togito, Tanjiro is also going to have to fight Obanai as well. After this, we skip to the following day where Obanai decides to send Tanjiro to the next Hashira because he's tired of training him. After some more exploring and subquests, Tanjiro ends up at the next Hashira where he finds it to be Sanemi, and Zenitsu is also here training with him. This fighting is the same as Togito, where I just end up fighting Sanemi a couple of times. One afternoon after training, Tanjiro eavesdrops on Genya and Sanemi talking about what happened in the Swordsmith village, and Genya saying that he ended up eating demons to become temporarily stronger, which enrages Sanemi to the point where he is about to stab Genya's eyes out with his fingers. Tanjiro jumps in to save Genya from getting stabbed, and Tanjiro and Sanemi end up getting into a all-out brawl, to the point where Tanjiro is ordered not to go near Sanemi again for the time being, and is told to move on to the next Hashira. On the way over to the final Hashira, I end up getting some more collectibles and finishing off the final subquest, popping the trophy.
Your best.
The next Hashira is the Stone Hashira Gyome, and for this training is just another minigame where I have to push this boulder. Once Tanjiro's complete this, he is told to move on to the final Hashira, and when arriving at the final Hashira, he finds out that it is Gyu, and that he is the only Slayer to make it this far. And since he is the only one, Gyu suggests that they should do a one-on-one match to see how far Tanjiro has progressed since the first day Gyu met him in that snowy forest. This, I would say, is by far the hardest story fight there is, as well as the best story fight there is. Like, just watch this ending scene right here.
Hinokami Kagura! Fake rainbow! There! The opening thread! Water breathing. First form. Hinokami Kagura! Super slash!
With this fight, Tanjiro is able to prove to Kyu just how far he has grown, and sadly me getting a B rank on this fight because it is pretty difficult. This ends the Hashira training for Tanjiro Kamado. After the chapter ends, we get the same ending scene just from the 4th season, with the headmaster being killed and all the Hashiras plus Tanjiro find Muzan, and with all of them trying to attack, and then we get a shot-for-shot scene from the anime where Tanjiro and every single Demon Slayer there is get sent into the Infinity Castle, setting up a potential 3rd Demon Slayer game. Here I get 2 trophies, one for completing the game and another one for getting all memory fragments. The next couple trophies are me just going back and getting some of the S ranks I missed, such as the S rank on the Boulder minigame, followed by Mitsuri's minigame, then Zenitsu's minigame from chapter 1. And lastly, after the Zenitsu minigame, I get the trophy for all S ranks in every chapter. And I also went back to get the S rank on the fight against Giyu as well. Before moving on to the next step of this platinum, I decided to get the last collectible trophy I was missing, which is for getting all the records. For this, I just have to go through the chapter select page and look for where it says I am missing a Hinokami record, and then play that mission, find the record that I was missing, and after doing this for a couple of times, once I get the last record I missed, the trophy pops immediately. Now that the story is fully completed, the next step I have to do is the path of the Demon Slayer. The path of the Demon Slayer is just a 6 fights that pretty much tell the story of the first game and first season, plus the Mugen Train movie. The first trophy for this is just by completing this on the first difficulty, which is very easy because it is easy. Getting this done pops the trophy as well as unlocks hard difficulty. And in this, it is definitely a bit more challenging, especially the fight against Rui. These fights were pretty difficult that I end up having to skip the Rui fight, finishing off the later fights, and then going back to the Rui fight. And then after a couple failed attempts from this because of the crazy difficulty AI, I am able to beat it and pull off the S rank, getting me the trophy for the hard mode completion. Alright, the next 7 and 8 trophies are all the purchase related trophies. By opening the menu and going down to the tab where it says shop, I am able to buy a variety of things. And to get all of the trophies I need for this, I need to pretty much buy everything in the shop. With the points I have right now, I definitely am not able to get all the trophies. So I end up just buying a couple stuff, getting me my first trophy. So to get the currency I'm gonna need for all these trophies, the best way I found to do this is by going to chapter 2, going to the mission called the Disturbance, and in this mission I am in a big free roam area, and if I run around and collect every single collectible currency there is on this map, if I do get everything, I should get around 3,000 points or more. So by doing this for lots of hours, I am able to get all the trophies tied to the shop. So we're in the end game now, and for this part I need to do the training paths. In the training paths is just like a board game, and I move from spot to spot, fighting enemies if I need, and when I reach the end of the board, I fight the boss, which is the Hashira I selected to train under, and after beating the boss, it completes the training. And after completing my first board with the Hashira I selected, I unlock the next difficulty as well as my first trophy. The next trophy is for completing every single training board on all the difficulties. The difficulties aren't really that much different besides the board just getting larger with more fights. After completing every single one of the Hashira instructors on all the difficulties, this wasn't really that hard, it was just a bit time consuming, and for this to be a less of a boring grind, I went for another trophy as well, which is for gaining 35 character masteries to level 5. After clearing a path with the character I used and the assist character, they both go up 1 mastery level. And since I gotta do this for 65 characters, this makes this grind a little bit less boring, as well as less of a grind later on, is what I thought. And before I knew it, I end up clearing the last training path and getting the trophy. After clearing all the training paths, I have to go to versus mode to finish off the mastery trophies, because in order to get the mastery trophies, like I said, I have to get level 5 masteries on pretty much every character in the game except like 3 or 4. And since there are also a couple of demons in the game, I am unable to use those in the training paths, so I have to go to versus mode in order to play as these demons. So after going to versus mode, selecting the demon I want to use, I put the CPU opponent on the lowest difficulty so that the fight will go a little bit faster. And after beating the opponent 2 times, the match ends, giving me the trophy. Then after many matches later, I am able to get the last character I need, who is Akaza, to mastery level 5, getting me the second grindiest trophy there is. Before I go on to the final challenge for this platinum, I want to tell you guys to go down there, drop a like on this video, as well as subscribe and put on those notifications so you are notified for whenever I upload a video. It shows to me just how much you guys like me making this video and how much you want me to continue. Alright, so the final thing I gotta do for this platinum is the endurance survival mode. In this mode, I have to fight enemy after enemy after enemy non-stop, and this is a survival, so it goes on for however long or until I'm defeated. And might I say, at the start of this, it is pretty easy. I begin my first match, defeat it without losing really that much health, and get my first trophy in the process. After fighting around 15 to 20 opponents, the difficulty really spikes from being super easy all the way to fighting a god gamer. And to make it even worse, if I lose any health at any point in the fight and I still win, I only heal a little bit of health back, meaning to get far in this, I have to play very smart and without getting hit with a lot of damage. On my first attempt, I get all the way to floor 25. It took me days on days to complete. And keep in mind that this is before PSN Profiles had any sorts of guide on this, and there were barely any videos out on this game platinum at all, besides from this one YouTuber. And in this video, he also didn't even get the trophy for this because of just how challenging it would be. There's a glitch for this mode that allows you to do this pretty easily, I would say. And because I've been doing this for a couple of days, I decided to give in and use the glitch. And to use this glitch to the max, I would do a combo on the opponent, dealing damage to it, and once the combo is done, or I end up getting parried by the opponent, I would pause the match and suspend the match. This does not mean I fail the match, and it just puts me back at the start of the match with the health that I had at the start of the match, but the opponent still having the damage taken from the combo I did before suspending the match. At this point, like I said, it took me a couple of days and I did not really want to lose my sanity or controller, that is. So the best way for me to get this trophy is just by doing the glitch. It is possible for me doing all the 100 of these floors without using glitch. And the best strat I found for this is by using any demon. Preferably for me, I use Nezuko's advanced form, and by putting these 2 gears on, which allow me to heal health more while in Surge. But again, after more matches, the more and more I do, the more challenging it will be. So after a couple days and finally giving into the glitch, I'm able to go all the way to floor 99 and then beat the boss on that floor, getting me the platinum trophy. I'm on the last one. I just have to beat this and then I'm done. Using demons in this are so broken, but also you have to use the bug. Using the bug is literally the only way to actually beat all 100 of these in order to get the fucking trophy. You have to use the glitch, because just look at how much damage you're doing. That's more than my normal combos. That is way more than my normal combos. It is literally impossible. I'm just gonna Surge so I get even more health. You literally have to use the bug. The testers literally had to do like one wave and say like, oh yeah, 100. Let's make it so a trophy, you have to do 100 of these in order to get the platinum. Like, whoever made this trophy, you deserve the rotten hell for this. I'm done. To the death, complete 100, defeat 100 opponents in survival. Unparalleled strength. The platinum trophy. I am finally done with this game. This mode is the most dog shit there is. And with that being over and me getting all 100 matches, this is where the video is going to end. And sorry again that this is only the second Demon Slayer game. Like I said, I was originally going to put the first one in this as well, but I didn't realize I already had the platinum for this game. So I ended up just making this video on the second one, and that's it. So with that, I'll see you guys in the next video where I go back to the Devil May Cry and struggle with those games. Bye guys.